Hi guys, it's Diane. I just wanted to follow up a little bit on the review that I did with WP QuickCloner. There are a few points that I just wanted to clarify or expand upon, so I wanted to put up this little video. Okay. And with that, we'll get going. Okay, so the overall process is really straightforward. It's probably what anyone really would have anticipated. Step 1, you download the application. 2, you set up the source. In other words, you do a few things to the domain that you're trying to copy. Then you actually copy the source. That's actually done in the browser. And then you clone the target site. So, and that's actually there's kind of a little two-step process within that. So we're going to go over that in a little more detail in the next slide. The first step is to download and register the software. Actually, it was kind of interesting in this particular product. Something I hadn't really seen before is that in order for the utility to work, both when you're copying and when you're from the original site and when you're copying to the target site, you are required to enter in your registered email, and then the system goes out and it actually checks against the server to make sure that that email is actually registered. So that was kind of a different twist, and I think anyone who actually needs this utility would certainly see the value in it and wouldn't have a problem paying the minimal fee. Okay, so here's where we're going to actually start the process of copying the site that you already have established. And the first part I just point out here is you want to review your current site and make sure that you have all the functionality, all the plugins, all the themes, everything you want to replicate in the new site. So it's really good just to give a quick review of your current site and make sure that you have everything that you actually want. Okay, so the real second step, once you've looked at your site and you're verified that everything is the way you want it, is you need to either through FTP or CPANEL or whichever kind of mechanism you feel most comfortable with, but you need to create a subdirectory called clone and have that sit on where you're trying to copy your WordPress blog from. So let's say, for instance, that if your blog is in the root directory, in other words, somedomain.com, you're going to create a directory called clone on the root directory. Now, if your blog is in a subdirectory called i.e. blog, then you're going to want to make sure those files are copied into that appropriate subdirectory. Same thing with the domain. The idea is you just want to get your files one file folder level up from where you're actually copying. Okay, so once you have the files copied over to your server, then you want to activate your browser. So let's say that you have a blog on a root directory, somedomain.com. You're going to want to point your browser to www.somedomain.com/clone. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit technical, and that's why I call this application sort of for intermediate users. But really quickly, what we're going to do is create a database, create a user, and then assign that user to the database and give the user what we call all privileges. Okay, so once we've got that accomplished, we're going to copy over to the new directory, to the new domain, the cloner files that we unzipped earlier, and upload the zip file just as it is that we created in step 2. Okay, so with all of that accomplished, what we're going to do now is point our browser to the new domain, i.e. somedomain.com. Okay, so now that you've done all the hard work, you're ready for a little magic? Alright, so navigate your browser to the target site. It's going to come up with an installation screen. You want to go ahead and plug in all the information that's requested there, the registration email, the database name, the database username and password, and then you're going to click the install site button. What that's going to do is actually install the latest version of WordPress, and then install the target, the source web blog for you. Okay, so when that's all done, you can view your site. Either, I would recommend that you bookmark your admin page, log in, and one of the first things you should do is really just change your password, because otherwise the two sites are actually duplicate. So you want to go ahead and change that. And with that, I'll conclude this tutorial.